Hello and welcome to another episode of the Classical Republican. Today we're talking with the Speaker of the House of Representatives in New Hampshire, the largest representative body in the US. And that is very important to classical republicanism, as the House of Representatives is supposed to be the democratic element of the mixed regime. Mr. Speaker, how long have you been in the House and how long have you been Speaker?
I've been in the House for 32 years, and this is my first term as Speaker. I'm coming to the end of my first term as Speaker, which will be 2 years.
What do
Uh,
you think
I have
are
been
the
minority. I have been minority leader. When we were in the minority, I was chairman of a transportation committee for 12 years. So I've had numerous positions in the body.
Oh, thank you. What are the advantages and drawbacks of having such a large House of Representatives?
Well, the advantages is that each member theoretically represents 3,500 people, which is the most representative body in the country, or probably in the world, close to it. And I think that's a huge advantage. um the disadvantages are we only get paid $100 a year. We get no per diems. The only thing so we are truly the only citizen legislature left in the country. And we do get mileage back and forth, federal mileage, but that's it. So, there's a lot of states out there that don't pay that much, but they get a, pretty good per diem per day. We don't get that. So we get a lot of people that do one terms or maybe two terms, and if they're still working, they can't afford to do it anymore. So that's some of the drawbacks. But this system has been in place. Our system semi goes back to colonial times. And it works. um I've met a lot of speakers from across the country, and they just shake their heads and say, I don't know how you do it. And some days I don't know how I do it. Fact of the matter is, we get it done. And we've been doing it for 250 plus years. So, I mean, obviously we're doing something right.
How long, on average, does it take for a freshman legislator to get comfortable with procedure on the floor and in committee?
Well, a lot depends on the legislator. I can tell you when I came in, um, I was told to basically sit down, uh, shut my mouth, and learn. And I mean, that was emphasized to me very, very strongly, is learn the system, learn how everything works. And, that's what we recommend. They don't listen to good today as we did 30 years ago, but some are quick learners. Some really delve into it. Some really delve into reading the rules. Some really delve into, how the system works, and some don't. So it's each legislator is different. So there isn't a thing that, okay, in one month or 2 months or 3 months, you're going to know everything. Um, that can be, is if you really, put your mind to it, and you really want to learn, then you can learn quickly. But it takes a while to learn all the players. Learn how things work, learn where you go to get things done. How the budget works, how legislative services works, who writes our bills, how research works, and all that. So it's really up to the individual legislator as to how quickly they learn.
What advice would you give to another chair who had to chair such a large deliberative body? What are the best tips for managing business and getting things done?
Are you talking about the speaker or are you talking about a committee chair?
Like a speaker.
Uh, well, if I when I do meet with my other fellow speakers, um, they ask the same question, how do you do it? Because many of them don't have anywhere near the size of the body that we have. And it just takes a lot of cooperation. You need some terrific staff around you, and I got to say the people I have and staff in my office are just magnificent. I don't think there's any better any place. And obviously, you need a strong leadership team. And because of the size of the legislature, you need quite a few members in the leadership team to make sure everything works. And it's we get it done.
How do you handle vacancies? You're so large, you probably have the biggest issue with vacancies than any other state. So, what's your process for that?
Well, we just do the best we can. I mean, when there's a critical issue coming up, both parties obviously do everything they can to get every member there as possible. But yeah, on any given day, we could have 20, 30, people absent. But I say if it's an important issue, like, the budget or something like this, we just do the best we can to get people there. But people get sick, people have to maybe take care of a sick relative. Some still work and may have to travel or something like that. Um, you do the best you can. That's all I can tell you. I mean, it's unlike a much smaller legislature where it's a lot easier to get that many a small group of people together than it is a large group that we have. It on some days it can be a problem, but again we get through it and do the best we can.
Thank you. Well, the next set of questions I want to get into deal with the distinction between the House and the Senate in New Hampshire. Um, the Other than you being very large, there are also a number of stark distinctions, and that's very important in classical republicanism and bicameralism is to have several distinctions, so the two chambers aren't basically the same group of people doing the same type of work. Um, so there's differences between obviously the amount of people, age, and residency requirements. Um, I was wondering, do people today still think these distinctions are important between the two chambers?
Well, I would believe that in many cases they think there should be differences. I mean, our Senate is only 24, which is one of the smallest in the country, which is ironic that we have the largest House, but one of the smallest Senates. And but they only get paid $100 a year too. They get the same pay we do. So they represent, I think, around 60,000 people. And so I mean, there is some distinctions there. Most of our members serve on one committee because we have so many. We have 20 standing committees. In the Senate, you could be sitting on 4 or 5 different committees. So it's much more regulated over there as to when you're going to have your committee meet and move forward, because you could have, if you have too many committee meetings the same day, nobody's going to be on one of them. So it's a lot difference in how they have to work their body compared to how we have to work our body.
You have all these distinctions, yet there's no distinction between the number of years in the terms. You both serve 2-year terms in the House and Senate. I was wondering why that is, and has it Is there any fear of a loss of institutional knowledge if too many incumbents lose their jobs?
Well, I think you always have the fear of loss of institutional knowledge, especially when you lose, you know, somebody like, the chairman of your finance committee, the chairman of your ways and means committee, and things like that. I mean, um, you always have that. Um, you always have the loss of institutional knowledge, but because we have so many members, in many cases, there's somebody to step up. Let's say the chairman is, retires or is unfortunately beaten or something in an election. You usually have the vice chairman or some people on the committee that have extensive amount of years on that committee that, can step in for, the people that we lost. Plus, we have, again, going back to, we have some great staff that, nonpartisan staff that continues on, and especially like in the budget office and stuff like that. They go from administration to administration.
Has there ever been a push for term limits in New Hampshire?
If I remember correctly, I think a few years ago it was talked about, uh, but it never really rose to the level of being a serious consideration. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that we don't get paid. We are, it isn't like we're up here for the money, that's for darn sure. And so unlike some of these big states, California, New York, and places like that, they get huge amounts of money. That's another thing. But because we're a truly citizen legislature, it isn't something that has ever been really, I think, seriously considered.
Well, have you seen any impact of the Free State movement in the House of Representatives? I know they've had a few people get elected. This is a libertarian movement that is uh, performing an experiment, trying to get large numbers of libertarians to go to New Hampshire to live and to be politically active. Is there any sign of that in the in on any impact on the House of Representatives?
Well, I guess the question is it a good I mean, obviously we have some some libertarians in the House. Um, and I guess the question is, are they good for the House or bad for the House, and good for the state and bad for the state? And I would say that because of the fact that you have some um, far left fringes of the Democratic Party in the state, that both of those affect the body and how they're moving forward. So you have some people that are, on the far right, and you have some people on the far left. So I would assume that that's happening in most states at this point. But they have not been as far as I'm concerned, they have not been a negative impact in any way. I mean, they come in, they have their ideas, and many cases they submit legislation, and the legislation goes through the process.
All right. Well, Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. That's all the questions I had for you. Thank you for answering them. Do you have anything else to say before we go?
Well, I would just say, well, thanks for having me on, and I hope that people that are listening to this get a better perspective of how we do things in New Hampshire. And it's a system that's worked for a long time, and I believe it'll be a system that'll continue to work for a long time.
All right. Yes, me too. Well, thank you very much and have a good day.